14th.
Like I said, a little bit of fire, a little bit of sage. For protection, for our mother, for healing. Somebody's all crackly over there. All right. Okie dokie. I'm going to go ahead and get this chat pulled up here and say good morning. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get started, Mel. Don't you think?
Yes.
All right. Good morning and welcome to Astro Insights Live. My name is Jennifer Rose. I am an intuitive astrologer and psychic and tarot card reader, and I'm here with my wife, astrologer Mel Rose.
Hello.
And today we are going to discuss the astrology for the week ahead. And we do this every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So hopefully you will join us if you missed us live this time. Maybe next week you'll join us. Melanie has her own show called Astrology Today with Mel Rose. And she releases videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. And what these are just quick snippets into the current astrology for the day, the next 48 hours, with some overarching astrology that's happening, just to give you an idea of what to expect or how to act, or, maybe it'll give you an idea about why you're feeling a certain way. So tune in to Mel Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. And on Thursdays, Mel and I have been going live doing some yes, no tarot readings. And those have been super fun. And we've been on, I think, for like an hour and a half at a time. So it's been really interesting and fun. So hopefully you'll join us on Thursdays. So anyway, I want to go ahead and get started with the astrology. I know that we've got probably a lot to talk about. And if you're here for the tarot card reading, we will do that at approximately 30 minutes in. So there is Mel Rose, astrologer, and I'm going to turn it over to her from here.
Thank you, my dear. Welcome everybody to the astrology forecast for the week ahead. We love doing this live on Sundays. It's just a nice way to keep caught up with everybody and sort of go over what we're going to be talking about in the next week anyway, just ahead of time. We all could use a little heads up, right? Like I can use all the information I can get to navigate my own life. And I'm so happy that we're all here to think about that today. So today is Sunday, the 11th, and yesterday Mercury moved on into Taurus. So it's Uranus is in the late degrees of Taurus, Sun is getting to the late degrees of Taurus, and Mercury is just now in the early degrees of Taurus. We have those three together in that sign. The Taurus vibes are getting strong. It's very much about, what is on our minds, and what our activity is about is our personal sense of having a good foundation to work from, our personal sense of support and security.
Right. So something I forgot earlier is Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there.
Happy
We really
Mother's Day
appreciate
to all the
you.
mamas out there. Yes,
Yes.
we love you and appreciate you.
Yes, and Happy Mother's Day, Bobby Sue.
Happy Mother's Day, Bobby Sue. Happy Mother's Day, Mama Lisa.
Right. Happy Mother's
Yeah.
Day, Mama Lisa, and happy birthday to our brother DJ, which is
Mhm.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes, so we have a very active Taurus season in our world. And
Mhm.
we're talking about Mercury and Taurus, correct? So our
Yes.
communications, you have been communicating with both of those people, I
With
think
my
maybe
yes,
probably
my
even
Taurus
today.
people.
Yes. So, I think Mercury and Taurus for me just says that, my communication or we're just a little bit more grounded than we would normally be, I think,
Mhm.
and so in that case, if there's something that I'm afraid to talk about or something, maybe it is that I'll have the courage to say it today.
Mhm. Well, Taurus is that fixed sign that really likes to stay the course. So I think a lot of the conversations that we'll be having will be about like, how do we see this through? How do we stay the course? What does it take to hang in there with whatever it is that we have started when the sun was in Aries or when Mercury was in Aries?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think we were discussing this before we started, but I keep thinking today that perhaps because Donald Trump has been releasing some AI images of himself, I wondered if he was going to release an AI image of himself as the Mother Mary for Mother's Day.
I think
I
that would be
mean,
beautiful.
probably not, because oh no, not that, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
I don't think that's how far his sense of humor about himself extends, but it might if they could get Mary to look like super buff and masculine, maybe.
Well, I mean,
So we
yeah, no,
come into
just
the week with the sun in Taurus and Mercury entering Taurus, having just entered Taurus, and coming in on Monday the 11th, we have the full moon in Scorpio. And on the same day that the full moon is in Scorpio, which we will talk about, Mercury is also square to Pluto, and that's important and interesting because Pluto is one of Scorpio's rulers. So one of Scorpio's rulers is being activated on the day that we have a full moon in Scorpio. So we're going to be having those sort of heavy Scorpio vibrations already. It's also lunar Beltane, so it's the end of our springtime midpoint where we observe the halfway between the equinox and solstice. So that's a lot to say, but we can start with the full moon in Scorpio. What do you think?
well, my Mercury is in Scorpio, so I feel like the things that I'm talking about and the things that I'm writing about, the things that I'm thinking about are, endings. Honestly, I'm looking to transform some, like some bad habits, some, just I'm just looking to grow a little. In order to
Mhm.
do that, I have to transform it. We're buying soil to plant some seeds to grow. This is definitely the time. I think there was a woman that lived behind us, and she's a little rural witch, and she told us to not plant anything until after Mother's Day or the day of Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting what the astrology is saying, and like the Scorpio really is just about um, you know dealing with something that's deep and introspective, and finally just kind of clearing way to heal that, plus the Chiron and Aries aspect,
Mhm.
overarching, I think.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes.
So,
Uh,
that full moon in Scorpio, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, please go ahead.
That full moon in Scorpio, Mel, what what are a couple of things that someone might do for, like a ritual or, just to do some woo or surrounding
A
this completion?
ritual. I
A
love that.
ritual.
We just coined a new word. A little ritual with
A ritual.
Scorpio.
Yes.
Full moon. That's a really great question. I do agree that there's a good opportunity to find some healing with this Scorpio full moon. I think that it's one of those things that's an inside job. But if there's something that we've been working on, whether it's conscious or not, because understand that you're always working on something, even if you don't really realize that you're doing it. I do a lot of subconscious processing myself. My growth sometimes surprises me, and I like just wake up and realize that I think something differently. But whether you're consciously or unconsciously working on something, this is going to be one of those times where you do the internal clearing, like, oh, I no longer need to worry about that. I no longer need to think about that. I'm just going to let that old stuff go. It's behind me. It's lost. I don't care. Right. So that's a great thing, a great way to use the culmination of that Scorpio full moon is to do that introspection and say, yeah, this is what I'm done with, like release. A full moon is a release. And it can also be like release of your artistic endeavors, releasing out into the world the album you've just created or some of the art that you've just created or some of the things you've just written, just like letting some of that stuff that you've been protecting get out there into the world. So you asked me though, what was a ritual we could do?
Right. What is a ritual that you can do,
I'm
like
not going to
something?
let that go. I think it's way too cute.
Okay,
Um,
well, we do rituals then. That's it. That's our thing. Ritual woo.
okay, so the important thing to me when it comes to ritual, and especially like for the full moon, is that you feel like it is like the things that you gather to do the ritual are representative of the vibe of the moment, right? So, the Scorpio full moon is always in the springtime. And so, we want some green around us, and we want, things that represent the moon to us present in our ritual. And, it's a good time with a watery full moon, especially this fixed water full moon, maybe to do some scrying under the moon, under the night sky. So, you could use like a deep bowl and fill it with water and let the water become very, very still. And then you can use that as a meditation focal point. If you want to sort of use that to do some of that internal clearing, right? Just to say, uh, you know, uh, here I am, and I'm present in my body and in my heart and my mind, and I'm ready to release what no longer serves me, and like really give yourself into like just staring into the surface of that water for a few minutes and see what comes to you, because I imagine something will be either washed away or will come up for you. Um, and then, I always love with a full moon to do a little fire and burn off some stuff intentionally as well, to say like, I'm letting go of this. I'm letting go of that. So if you're in a place where it's appropriate to burn a fire, please go ahead and have yourself a little fire. And if it's something that you really want to let go of, you really want to be done, or something that you really want to see more of in your life too, you want to culminate it. You set that intention and then you burn it, you just let it go, okay? Because that way, it can go out there and do its work and come back to you.
I learned a little ritual that I did that I didn't understand that I was doing, but we have a nice sunny patch in the backyard, and I'm dealing with mom and dad issues that I'm kind of wrapping up. So my dad was a Taurus sun, my
Mhm,
mom was just emotional. So the Scorpio moon, it would just kind of wraps her up to me. So these two for me are about transforming that relationship that I had with them through this full moon. And it's
mhm,
about taking away the expectations from their relationship that they placed on me, from their individual relationships with their lives that was placed on me, that I'm transforming, and I'm getting rid of that. I'm burying it, and then I'm planting a new seed of me, like who it is that I want to be and who it is that I see that I am, rather than what everyone else has made me out to be. So that's what I'm doing for the Scorpio moon, and with my Mercury in Scorpio, hopefully the universe will hear me and heal it, right?
mhm,
But something I found out that I do in a ritual is I sit in the back and I get this really sunny space, and I think about either an action that I do, a face that I make, something that I eat that I should do better about moderating, those kind of things, or a sentence that I want to go away about myself. And I think about that and I literally throw it into the sunlight and I imagine it just burning away. Just
Oh, I
going away.
love that. I
Because I
love
can't
that.
always just crumple up paper and light it up,
And throw it on a
I'd like to
fire,
do that
right?
in my house, but I can't, so that's the way that I found that I just kind of, get rid of. I do that thing where I'm like, "Ooh, take all that stuff out and I eat it," but I don't wanna
Yeah,
eat it, like, I don't wanna take all that
you
negativity, eat it out.
materialize it with your imagination, and then you allow it to be dissolved.
Yes, yeah, I just
Yeah,
imagine the situation like I would be, either anxious about or the thing that I'm, trying to transform, and I just throw it into the sunshine and just imagine it dissipating and just poof, being gone.
yeah.
Like, okay.
Right, and I also wanna say that this is a great time, to plant seeds. So,
Mhm.
we are at that time of year, like Jennifer said, Dorcas, her name was Dorcas, she used to tell us, "Don't plant anything, don't put anything out, basically, until Mother's Day." And, she's right about that. If we put things out at Mother's Day, then we won't get a freeze. We're not likely to get a freeze after this. So far, so good. We'll see what climate change does down the road, huh? But, but so this is a good time if you want to, ritually plant seeds as well as physically plant seeds. It's a good time to be, putting your little herb pots together, putting some soil down, putting some seeds in there, and nurturing with water. Scorpio moon, absolutely. So we have that Scorpio full moon. It is lunar Beltane, and then the other part of tomorrow is Mercury squaring Pluto. And I described Mercury squaring Pluto in the coming week's video as a bit of insider trading. Okay. I did that because the square makes things a little tense. The square makes things a little bit like, will you or won't you? Will you make it over the hump or not? Right. So it's a bit of a challenge. And, you've got Mercury, which is our communications, and Pluto, which is the god of all the stuff you can't see, you know, in this kind of tense conversation with one another. And it feels like you could get like a juicy piece of secret information. And if you had that information, you might be like, if I act on this, it will really benefit me. Excuse me. But then it turns out that acting on it is either illegal or unethical, or it's going to create a problem for you down the road. So, getting that juicy piece of secret information and taking an action to benefit yourself might unravel in a way that you had not anticipated and would not like. So,
Right.
I just want to say, like, let's slow our roll here when it comes
Mhm.
to, you get that juicy piece of information, you want to think twice about how you're going to use it.
Right. This, this screams, Diddy vibes, and I don't know where his, trial is, or I think it's coming up or it's ongoing or there's some pre-trial or something's happening there, I think.
Hmm.
And I also think that this is uncovering like hidden power dynamics in someone's speech, like the, just finally really hearing what someone says and knowing
Hmm.
how they're using that communication and then be like, oh no,
Oh,
no, yeah, like really understanding it.
I know. Wait,
Um,
wait. When I saw through the voice of a trusted friend who used to humor me and tell me lies.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, somebody's gonna let something slip, or somebody's gonna show us a side of themselves or be
Hmm.
revealed, you know, for who they really are. So that brings me to the I probably should look this up real quick, but I just read a real quick headline and we'll get into this next week, but that Donald Trump is possibly accepting a plane from Qatar to use as his Air Force One. Um,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm really kind of, shocked at that. And I think that really kind of shows a lot of authority. And I think it also shows that there are some secrets being had. Like, why would that happen? What has gone
Definitely, it
on?
communicates something about things we do not know, right?
Right, right.
Like, it gives us a clue that there's something there we don't know.
Right, right.
Mhm,
Yeah, it's a red flag alarming for me, not just because, I mean, they're I just worry about, keeping peace in all of the countries, but I also worry about, you know, Trump and whether or not, like, hopefully they don't have that thing bugged, or hopefully they don't have anything that can, detonate on him or something. Like, this is
mhm.
just, I don't know. And like I said, I haven't read much about it. It was a headline. Hopefully it's true. But I was just like, oh, I can't even look at this right now. So,
Right.
that's advice. Like, if you see something alarming like that and it's really serious, like, you don't have to look into it right then.
Right.
So yeah, that's we're gonna
Protect
see
your
some
mental
things.
well-being, protect your emotional well-being. You don't
Right,
have to dive into every bad news snippet you
right.
find.
Right, right. And if there is a Diddy trial going on and you have unfortunately been a victim of something like what they're purporting that he's done, then please, separate yourself from the media for a while, because this is going to be a shitstorm, right?
Mhm.
It's it's either an opportunity for you to get a handle on and understand your personal triggers and try to, transform them with the Scorpio full moon, or, just kind of know your limits and know that you don't have to watch all of this just because it's available and it's what everyone's talking
Yeah,
about. All
yeah.
right.
Yes, be in personal control of what you consume because it does have an effect on how you go about your life. Absolutely. So, that's Monday. Like, here we are just still at Monday. But, big messaging for a big day being lunar Beltane, being the full moon in Scorpio, having that Mercury square to Pluto. And that Mercury square to Pluto is a part of a bigger configuration on the chart. Mars has been opposing Pluto. We've been talking about that a lot over the last several weeks. And Mercury has just moved into this position midway between them, where Mercury is square both to Pluto and Mars. And the Mercury square to Mars is gonna complete later on in the week. But this first one, Mercury squaring Pluto, it is in relationship to that Mars opposition to Pluto, which kind of promises, uh, you know, heated action. It promises, sort of volatility and battles being played out, power struggles being played out. And we see that on the world stage right now. It's very apparent that people are struggling for power at this time. So, um, Mercury is squaring Pluto, you know, that thing about the airplane is really interesting because it is about like either secrets are coming out or hints and clues to secrets are coming out, and somebody is seeing those and going, I think I have some money to follow. I think I have a
Right.
trail to follow. Right.
Right. And I find that interesting that you say that about a trail too, because it's also kind of a caution flag about loopholes and how you use them, because not all loopholes are completely and totally just, a full circle. Sometimes there's a little punch in the hole there. So that might be what we watch fall out, just like that little pinprick.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sometimes you think you found a loophole, but you get trapped in a snare.
Yes. Yeah. It makes me think of Martha Stewart,
Yeah.
like, it works
Exactly.
for everybody else, but Martha does it, and fuck that, she's going to prison.
Yeah, no, she got too
Ugh.
powerful. That's all
Yeah,
of it. But
that's right.
she flew too close to the sun. Okay, so after Monday, the pressure comes off. Early Tuesday morning, the moon goes on into Sagittarius, and our little hearts, having done all this like deep emotional and intuitive work, get to grow wings and become a little more flighty and adventurous. And, like, what do I want to do now that I'm all lightened up after this Scorpio full moon? So that's going to be great for a couple of days. This Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday feel really like light and full of possibility and potential. I want to remind us that we are still, we do still have that Mercury squaring Pluto and Mars, which are opposing. So we're still very much under that influence right now. Um, but not so much in the middle of the week, not too badly affecting us, I think, in our personal lives. And then coming into Thursday evening, the moon now is a waning moon. It's no longer the full moon. It goes on into Capricorn, and when the moon's in Capricorn, we get a little bit more of a desire to work, a little more focused on what our goals and our long term ambitions are. So that can be a pretty sort of hard and serious and focused kind of vibration. Anything you want to say about all of that?
Oh, I did have something to say about, um oh, so I love the Sag moon vibes because I know Sag moons are pretty adventurous. I know Sagittarians are very adventurous, and I thought, "Oh gosh, maybe this week would be a really great week to go to the ball game." And then I thought about that 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 aspect with Mercury and Pluto. Well, maybe not, because you might get into it with somebody about, the baseball game or something, like, for real,
Yeah.
for real.
Hmm.
So, maybe it is, the adventure is just, on your own, like finding some new beautiful places to be out in nature or what have you, or just
Yes.
going on a little bit of a drive, just a couple of you or something,
Mhm.
just to be adventurous and to, allow the seriousness of the Scorpio full moon, allow the seriousness of that transformation, that growth to just kind of take place, just to naturally just kind of move through you energetically. And I think
Yeah,
that would
and
be
to
a great way to
physically
wrap up the week.
integrate, sort of to physically integrate what it is that we've discovered about ourselves over the Scorpio full moon, 100%. And that's the
Yeah,
other thing I like
absolutely.
about the moon in Sagittarius is there's this opportunity, I think, this vibe that feels like I'm looking for constructive ways to burn off steam. I'm looking for constructive ways to, like integrate what I'm feeling and what I'm noticing into my body, like to respond.
Right. Right. And yeah, for me, it would be like not being around a lot of people that I might mouth off to. Way to screw up
Or
your
just
own growth,
going for that long walk before you sit down for the serious conversation.
Right. Yes. Yes. I love going on a long walk before I do
Good morning,
anything. Good
Manuel.
morning, Manuel. Great to see you here with us. I do love going on a long walk before I do things. It really does settle everything. So that's
Mhm.
good. But I feel like this week's going to start off, well, I don't know. And then
It's
I,
it's
I
kind of
love,
with a it's kind of with a Pluto style bang, and it's
mhm.
gonna end more with a Uranus style bang.
Right.
Um,
Right. So I'm looking for still, like, maybe even, unfortunately, some deaths, some notable deaths possibly happening
mhm.
to, like
Yeah.
Pluto and Scorpio, this involved and this illuminated. Scorpio doesn't like to be illuminated. They like to lay in the darkness, okay? They like to uncover the truths and show them to you, like, you bring the light to
Yes.
them, but no, don't bring me that light shit.
So, coming into Saturday, Saturday is our next big astrology day. And coming into Saturday, the moon is in Capricorn. It is that very serious Saturn ruled vibration. It's about our security. It's about um, our progress, the work that we have to do to get the things that we want to have. And on that day, the first thing that happens is that the sun completes its conjunction to Uranus. And I'm doing this because what it looks like from here is that they're in the same place in the sky. So they're, from our perspective, they are combined and under pressure. And the sun is about our sense of purpose in the world. It's how we connect with other people in our work, social, and civic lives, how we connect with the world in our work, social, and civic lives. So that being combined and under pressure with Uranus, the change maker over here in Taurus, who's been shaking up our relationship to everything and how we get it lately, the last several years. That's what Uranus and Taurus has been doing. Now the sun is there on top of it, sort of throwing a spotlight in our work, social, and civic lives, in our public facing lives, on the fluctuating availability of resources. Okay. The spotlight on Saturday is on the fluctuating availability of resources, the fluctuating availability of security, of a sense of stability, or a sense of having a good foundation under us.
Right. We just talked about that, and I of course associate this with all of our trade deals, the things that Trump is doing. I think some of the timelines that he's given some countries are coming up, and he says that he's going to work out a lot of deals, and he says that they're in talks with China. But then today, we're hearing about a possible airplane from Qatar. So I dreamt up this, I just thought, oh my gosh, like maybe on Saturday, there's going to be an announcement about a new trade partner that we're working with, or a new person that's going to supply us, that they're moving back and
Mhm.
forth. And could it be that? Or unfortunately, I do think that there are some big plans and aspirations regarding uh, the Gaza Strip, and I worry that, these folks are gonna get together and, create some kind of a real estate, what did you call it? Las Vegas in the desert or something like that? Like, I can't remember what you called it,
Oh yeah,
but
it's like like people love Qatar. We were talking about how most assuredly
Dubai.
Dubai. Donald Trump loves going to Dubai because everything's plated in gold and it's super, uh, posh there. But I think that he would love it if they would help him make Gaza as like a Las Vegas of the Muslim world. So
Right.
like Dubai, but maybe a little less religious, like like Dubai, but maybe a little less Muslim, Muslim light.
Gosh.
I can't wait to
Right?
see how that goes for him.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go, but I feel like there was just kind of a link to, like, that information that I picked up today. And then, because I'm psychic, and I know that in the moment, my psychic powers go about 72 hours to a week. I can usually know how things wrap up. And the fact that I started talking about that when she was talking about the Saturday aspects, the astrology, maybe it'll happen. I don't know, but I do expect to hear some announcements, especially about trade and who's going to be making what. Like, maybe we're getting automobile parts from a whole different country than we've ever done before. That sounds even like him. Like, it's no one in the history of presidents have ever done this president thing that I'm getting ready to tell you about. Like, so I mean, like,
Right.
that's who he is, and this is his time. Like, he's coming into Gemini season. He's
Mhm,
feeling himself. He's feeling
mhm,
good, and he's going to just keep pushing those personal, agendas forward. And this Taurus, that is like real estate to me. Like, a Taurus sun is real
yeah,
estate, and in the fine
100.
real estate, the gold. And hell yeah, I would go to Dubai if I didn't think I would get killed for being gay. I want to go and get a little gold slip to put in my wallet. I think that's cool, but you
Mhm.
know, not going there. But I mean,
Yeah.
I just expect this weekend to be full of um, some just some different stuff, especially when we're talking about trade and everything.
Mhm. Well, so in addition to that Sun conjunct Uranus on Saturday, Mercury is going to square Mars. So, at the beginning of the week, Mercury completed its square to Pluto. Now it's going to complete its square to Mars. Mars and Pluto still opposed. So it's like that Mars Pluto opposition is getting activated on the bookends of the week, right? So we'll see a little more conflict come up there as well. I really think fighting words is what comes up for me. Saying things in such an assertive way that people just, they think that you're picking the fight, and they'll come at you. Come at me, bro. That's what Mercury square Mars is. Come at me.
Nah, son.
But then, okay, so start with the week with kind of a bang, end the week with kind of a bang, but then on Sunday we have this completion of a sextile between Jupiter and Chiron. So Jupiter's in Gemini for a little while longer, And Chiron is in Aries, reminding us of our childhood wounds and the stuff we're trying to heal from, forever, since forever. And so Jupiter in Gemini is sort of expands everything you touch. And like Gemini always, brings us this idea of doubling anyway. So it's almost like double your bounty, double your blessings. And the thing about Jupiter is if you want that bounty and blessings, you just got to meet it halfway. You got to show up for the blessing. You got to say, yes, I'm here for it. So Jupiter in this sextile condition with Chiron, to me, that feels really good. It feels like a soft landing for the week after kind of a tough week.
I like that you said you had to show up for the blessing. That took me back to that show that we were watching, The Running Point with Kate Hudson. Maybe that's what the moral of that story was. We're watching that Running Point show. I think it's on Netflix with Kate Hudson in it because I like Kate Hudson. And the show last night was a little magical. It was really about, our choices and how we view what the choices that we make and the results from them. And then she
Hmm.
kind of found out, like, in a hard way, like that is not the way to go for her. Like, that is really
Right.
someone else's way of doing things. It's really not
Mhm.
for her, and it's not going to work for her. And when she failed to show up for her life in a way that she needed to get one of the biggest blessings that she could have had, she didn't show up for it, and so
Yeah.
she didn't get it. So,
Right.
yeah. So choices, choices. So
Choices,
show up for your
choices.
blessings.
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes,
And
yes.
that
Just
that
know,
was an example we were talking about this earlier. That was an example of that Mercury square Pluto vibe that was like, uh, you know, like I have a plan, but I also have this thing that came up in the moment that I feel I need to prioritize. But by prioritizing that thing, then I have ditched my plan and I've become unreliable. So, we want to be really careful about that at this time.
right, right, right. Yeah. I think we
And
will
then,
be at this time because we've been reviewing our relationships, and hopefully by now we have a good grasp of what it is that we want. So hopefully we're getting rid of the things that we don't want tomorrow for the full moon in
yeah,
Scorpio.
yes, exactly. And then coming like Sunday, that Jupiter sextile Chiron, the only thing I want to say is it's a good time to be noticing what has healed. It's a good time to be noticing the progress that you have made, especially like on long-standing hurts and wounds. And it's a good time to share that with other people because, Jupiter in Gemini says, share it with somebody and it will be doubled. Share it and it will be magnified. Share it and it will blow up. Okay. So share the healing you've experienced with people. Okay, be aware of the healing you've experienced because sometimes we go around thinking we're much more wounded than we still are. you know so be aware of the healing you've experienced, and then really make sure to share it with somebody so that that healing can be just expanded, you know sort of a
Right.
paying it forward sort of vibration there, which I love. And then I just want to say that next week there's a bunch of astrology next week, but the big thing is going to be on Tuesday. The sun goes on into Gemini, so we'll no longer be sun in Taurus. We'll be sun in Gemini after Tuesday of next week.
Awesome. I like what you just said about uh, what you just said was kind of some information for me, like share about your healing, share about your experience. And how I have an appointment at noon after this that is going to compel me to share a healing experience that I've had with
Mhm.
someone who's about to go on the same healing experience. So thank you
Yes,
for that guidance. It resonates.
lovely, lovely. I'm so glad. So,
Okay.
do we want to move on into a tarot card reading?
Yes, let's go ahead and switch over to the tarot cards.
All
I'm gonna
right.
I'm gonna shuffle mine up too. I get tarot card reading envy sometimes. on Sundays. And for while we're just kind of switching over to the tarot card reading portion here, we've started doing a live on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time where we do free yes/no questions. We've been on for as long as an hour. It gets fun. We just take your yes or no questions in the chat and we answer them through the cards. And if it's not too busy, we answer other questions that we can with a yes or no. So join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for a little bit more tarot with a yes and no tarot.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm noticing about this week is that there are like a couple of really lovely things that happen. Like the full moon in Scorpio is lovely. The moon likes being in Scorpio. It's a water sign. So it should be actually a very sensual experience, a very emotional experience. Yes, exactly. A nice new beginning where you can nurture yourself and those around you. And then at the end of the week, there's this Jupiter sextile Chiron. And yes, we have all these challenging things happening in the middle. We gave that stuff a lot of airtime, but I want to do one for the full moon in Scorpio and one for the Jupiter sextile Chiron. Okay, let's focus on the things that could make it better, the things that could make it easier, the things that we could lean on a little bit, you know, a little good fortune and a little clarity of purpose, right? So I'll go with the first one, and the first one is going to be the card for the full moon tomorrow on Monday. This is how we begin our week, and look what I got. I got the World card. Man, this full moon is really full circle for a lot of us in a lot of ways. And like healing is very much on the menu. So if there are things that you're struggling to heal from physically, mentally, emotionally, things that you're trying to put back together in your life, this can be a really full circle moment. This can be a really good moment of like closure or coming to an end, or at least just feeling good about closing the door behind you and going on.
Yes, I love that card because for me it also signifies some unity, or I've been talking about just kind of full circle moments,
Hmm.
just kind of, unifying and, you know,
Absolutely.
of course the world is the globe,
It's the globe.
some global getting togethering.
Plus, the full moon is a big glowing circle. So, for this to be a big circle as
Mhm.
well and to represent a culmination and an ending, just like the full moon does, I mean, that's just beautiful. So, happy full moon in Scorpio to everyone. I hope that it's a lovely healing experience for you all. Do you want to say something more?
Um, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I'm trying to think about that here. I'm still just a little inundated with all the circles, I keep talking about the circles and I keep talking about the circles, so I know this is a full completion and of stuff that we're working on and things that no longer serve us. I know that. And it could
Mhm.
be relationships ending, and I mean, your relationship with, fill in the blank at the end of that sentence. And right now, I mean, I think if you can speak it, say it, do it, it'll manifest for you. Like you said, double time, right? With the Gemini
Mhm.
aspect.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel that. I feel that pressure to shit or get off the pot, like to actually, back up my actions with my words.
Mhm.
And I also fully expect for there to be this week for me as far as the world goes, because I'm not quite there with my full circle. I think there's still probably some more to unearth, and it might be that somebody tells me something about myself that might be a little bit shocking and it might be a little bit hurtful, but I think it's going to come at the right time where I can just move it forward. Like
Right.
maybe another time I might have internalized that, but now I just want to take that and put that in that circle and just put it in and integrate it with the rest of my world. Like, this is
Mhm.
a normal part of me now. I understand this about myself,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
It looks
It's
so
a great
green.
it's a great full moon to reflect on what you have come to understand about yourself,
Mhm.
for sure.
I like how shimmery and everything it is, so I think that's a really beautiful. Is it
Yeah.
golden? Is the card golden?
The card is gold, shimmery gold. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it looks like a really positive, powerful, transformative time, and it's just like also it looks like almost, a brand new mama's got a brand new pair of shoes.
Seriously,
So
like
it
mama's
looks
heading
like maybe
out.
a yeah, maybe it's time to step out in our new, clothes. Maybe it's time
Mhm.
to, step out in our new selves, with our new attitude, with our new way forward, in a big way. Looks like that she's just kind of stepping out like, "Yep, here I am."
It makes me think of that Pointer Sisters song, "New Attitude." I'm in
Oh,
control.
wow.
My
That's
words
wild.
with you. Yeah. Okay. So that's the
Okay,
full
so
moon.
alright, hey, I wanna stop on that Pointer Sisters thing because you did a psychic thing that I wanna talk about right now. I was listening to the radio on the way to the store this morning, and it was an old, like, Casey Kasem countdown, and they played that song.
They did?
Yeah, you were not in the car with me, and I thought,
No,
"Oh,
it
that's so
wasn't. I was in
nostalgic to
bed.
be, up at on Sundays because on Sundays, for me, it was Casey Kasem's countdown. I had to hear the top
Yeah.
40, and so they were doing reruns. Like, I was like, "Casey Kasem on the radio?" And then they
I
played
love
that song, and now
that.
you brought it up, and I never told you that.
Oh,
That's
yay.
funny.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
you were following me, though.
I was on my 360 checking out where you were. Okay, so the second card is for the healing energy at the end of the week. So we're kind of bookended here. On the end of the week, on Sunday, Jupiter completes this sextile to Chiron, which is going to hang with us for about a month. So this is very much about like saying, telling people how you've healed, letting people know, like sharing your experience, being aware of what you've come through and how you have changed as a result. And like really sharing it is bound to like make that healing expand. And that's to me a beautiful vibration. So the card that's coming up for that is the Nine of Pentacles. Well, isn't that beautiful? It's very much about enjoying the fruits of your labor. This is saying, I mean, especially at the end of this week, which is a challenging week, okay, because that Mars Pluto opposition is still being activated by these Mercury squares. It's a challenging week, but at the end of the week, it's sort of like, okay, you can take a break and you can just, enjoy what you have. Be grateful for the abundance that you have created for yourself in this life. Sun is still in Taurus. There's a very Taurus kind of vibe right here. Just like, yeah, I grew this garden and I'm going to kick back and eat all this fruit.
I love the Nine of Pentacles. It's so, parental to me, in a lot of ways, but I also like it because, for me, it's kind of like, "Okay, now I did all of the adulting things. I did all the really important things, so now, I get to have a bougie snack, or I get to, just like, hang
Yes.
out." Sometimes a lot of times, unfortunately, rest and being able to relax is a luxury, and, I feel like maybe after a long week that may begin, just I mean, just intense, it doesn't have to be bad, just intense,
Mhm.
we just start the week like that and end up like this. It might just be like, "Ugh." Oh, I'm so glad that that's over with,
Oof.
like, just
Yes.
finally, like, I have, my bougie pillows, and I have everything. I've got my favorite
Mhm.
blankie, and I wonder what is the moon in on Saturday, do you know?
Sunday, when this is happening, the moon will be in
Oh, okay.
Aquarius. So that's an interesting thing to point out because moon in Aquarius really find calls us to find our like our cohorts and our allies and to gather, in a community spirit.
Right.
So
So,
um,
hmm,
there's a little bit of like maybe gathering with community to celebrate, almost a four of wands
mhm,
kind of
right.
quality. Like, look what we did! Yay!
Right, gathering to celebrate, going out to a nice restaurant and going, somewhere a little bit nicer, kind of like, going to Culver's instead of McDonald's. It can be just
Mhm.
that it can just be that simple, just a little way to relax and retreat and, sit back and notice everything that you did and celebrate those things that you've healed and celebrate even the rough patches because you're through them. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So do anticipate next Sunday just taking some time to rest and, not even take care of yourself, just enjoy what it is that you've made, what you've created for yourself, and with the moon in Aquarius, you can do that with friends around you. You can definitely, keep your family
Mhm.
around you. Just do whatever it is that feels like I get to enjoy this. I have earned this. I had a client yesterday who was telling me that she's got 2 little boys and she's got a 3rd one on the way, uh, and the first 2 are very particular in their own ways, and they're a lot of work, and so she feels that she has earned a chill child. She was like, "I think that I have put in the work and that I have earned a child that is chill, so I'm hoping that this one comes out chill." And that kind of this is what that reminds me of is like maybe I have just earned a chance to chill out and have one thing be easy for
Right.
me,
Right.
you know?
Maybe all the children are somewhere else. They're all doing other things,
Uh-huh.
Maybe that too. But yeah, just kind of learn. Yeah, 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 yeah. I see that for real. But
Yeah.
that's such a parental card for me too. And it's, Mother's Day. So it makes me think of that. Ooh, but I just see gold and green.
Gold and green and women, like, happy Mother's Day to all
Yes.
y'all
Yes.
mothers of different kinds out there.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not any human buddy's mother. I've been mom to several pets in my life.
You could,
I've been big sister a lot.
mhm.
But I really appreciate the mothers out there who are doing the work. I appreciate my own mother, my stepmother, my sisters who are mothering, my friends who are parenting. That is probably more work than you thought you were signing up for, and we really appreciate what you give.
Yes. Yes. No, I did the world a great service and did not have any children. But I love to nurture. I have a Venus in Virgo, and I love to nurture. I love babies. I love animals. I love them all. And I do think of everyone who's just a nurturing person. I think of friends that have no babies, but they raise plants for a living, like just everybody. Um, and just
Yeah,
take care of yourselves, I mean, remember the seeds that you're
it is
planting to plant them here first.
it is a good time to get in touch with your own, mothering impulse. Whoever you are, however you feel about
Mhm.
yourself, however you express yourself in the world, we all have a nurturing impulse in ourselves, and it's important to be aware of it so that we're using it
Mhm.
wisely.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I don't believe that I have anything more to say about the tarot cards today.
Okay,
Um,
good, good.
so to wrap it up, thank you so much for joining us here on Astro Insights Live. That is my wife, astrologer Mel Rose. She will be back tomorrow, Monday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, to give you more astrology. And I want to let you know about something a little bit different that I've been doing personally to do kind of a full circle astrology experience for you. I'm adding a show called the Astro Recap, and that will be on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And what I aim to do with it is to go back over what we've discussed, these transits, and then talk about how I saw them play out in real time, whether in current events or maybe even in my life, how the week moved with the transits that we just discussed. So that way we can just kind of come full
Mhm.
circle and see if anything that we talked about here came into fruition, or to just see what did come into fruition. And I just find it interesting how astrology works in our lives. And I hope to share that a little bit more with you. And I just am really grateful to Melanie and to Mel and all the rest of the astrologers who are out there, sharing all this knowledge for free most times, putting this information out there on YouTube. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, we would really appreciate you to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because sometimes we just pop up here with spells because, that's just a natural way that you do a ritual, right?
To do a little
A
ritual.
ritual,
It's
just
a nice way to reconnect with spirit.
kind of off the cuff. And everybody in the chat that's talking about a tarot card reading, we'll be more than happy to do that on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we do the free ones. It's a little bit easier to do then. So thank you so much. Please subscribe if you haven't, and feel free to leave us messages. And we do this for a living as well. So all of our information is where you need to find it, down here in the comments. So join us again. Yeah, I saw you. I thought you were kissing. I was like, "Oh, you're kissing. Mwah." I love you. Thank you so much. We love all and everyone who considers themselves a mom out there. Mom so fucking hard.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Tune in again next Sunday at 10 a.m. to watch us talk about the astrology for next week.
Thank you, everybody.